All right, so welcome to this first, I'll call it an episode of somewhat resembling a podcast. So we're going to see how this goes. Today, I want to talk about, I'm 25, and I want to talk about what it's like between the ears, from my perspective, at being 20 versus what it's like now at 25. There are three things I want to go over. I want to try and keep this to 20 minutes tops. Um, and so I've seen people make this joke that when you turn 25, you can fully see and fully uh, what would you call it? Fully function mentally because you're all developed and everything. The brain's fully developed, so to speak, by science. But I do feel like at this age that I am now in this phase of life, I do feel ironically that I there is more clarity. There actually is a little bit more sight and vision and understanding that I have about my life, about the world, about relationships a little bit that I didn't quite get at 20. And so, three things we're going to go over about how I compared from then until now. So, the first one that I want to talk about is that personally, I found it very difficult to focus on myself and focus on myself and focus on yourself and self improvement. These terms are often thrown around. So, I don't, they feel watered down. I don't like using them. But I had trouble being able to just see what I was doing in my life. I think I looked around a lot at what other people were doing. There was a lot of comparison. Um, and I think it came from this thought of loneliness that, when people focus on themselves, it's like it's just them. And everyone's living in their own bubble and everyone's just doing whatever they want to do. And it's just you. Like everyone's just living their own life. And I guess it was like not a fun thought. And so I had a hard time just being able to be concerned primarily with whatever it was that I was trying to achieve. And I thought that also, if I wasn't taking more time and effort to, let's say, help other people out or be in contact and communication with other people and in their lives, that this idea of just excluding everyone and being tunnel visioned on a particular thing, like maybe I would end up in a position where things are going well for me and maybe I needed help and maybe I needed a lending hand from somebody else and they would reciprocate and treat me like, you know what, I can't help anyone else. Sorry, Cole. And I have to just treat my life as this thing that's only for me. So I had a hard time treating my life like that in that sense. I don't know if my thoughts and understanding are really relaying to you listening, but I think now at 25, I have a little bit of a better understanding of how and why to focus on myself. And it's more intuitive, something that I think I'll have a hard time articulating. But I understand now that like everyone has these wants and their needs in their life to do things, and that it's okay for me to, not just okay, but necessary for me to chase these things that I feel I need to bring forth. This podcast, I'll call it, for example, to film it, these ideas that I thought in my head, and this nagging feeling like, you know what, I should really try and put that out there. I don't know what'll happen with it, but I should try and speak into a camera and post it. And so everyone has those things, and it's necessary for us to do so. And I think I was neglectful of this human biology that we have where, we are concerned with ourselves. We're concerned with these things that we want, whether it's financial freedom, whether it's a particular physique, uh, partner, etc. And I think in my head it sounded selfish a little bit, and so I had a hard time justifying also just being able to do what I wanted and be a little bit more selfish with my time. Um, and and I think now my understanding of it, I think that I've found a little bit more purpose and mission, especially as of late, and that drives that can help action, and action can help purpose, and so it's this loop. But being purpose driven, obviously, you're more determined and mission oriented to get things done, and I think that's helped me to be able to focus on myself a little bit, to meet goals that I want to meet. I remember sometimes I would go to the gym and I would look in the gym, and even now I find myself doing this. I'll like look around at people and everyone's concerned with their own life, doing their own thing, right? At that moment, maybe getting their workout in, doing their cardio, listening to whatever podcast or music they're listening to. Everyone's in their own space. And it felt like I'm just on the outside. When I was 20, I felt like I was on the outside just watching everyone do their own thing in their own world. And I had a hard time being able to do that for myself. And now I get these moments where I feel like I have to get things done. There's a deadline. I'm just doing, and it feels good to be more mission oriented and and sometimes single minded in that sense. So that's that. Okay, so we're at 7 minutes so far. We're doing good. Okay, second one here is that mm, dealing with the chaos of life. So this is huge. When I was 20 and for a long time after that, so really some like mid 20s, 23, 24 even, just struggling with this stuff, even 25 to be honest. I have a hard time with I had a hard time with this chaos and this chaos of life where things come up, where schedules get moved around, the uncertainty of what I'm doing, where I'm, what like whether it's work or whether it's just that day, or even with goals, if I don't meet a goal, it felt like all or nothing. Like if I had a goal, my whole life was centered around that goal or surrounded around that goal. And I see things a little bit different now. I understand that there are things that I'm supposed to do and these things that I have to get done. And I obviously still have goals, but I understand that there's a bigger purpose to my life, and I understand that there's a bigger purpose to me doing things that I quote unquote should be doing, right? And so if I had a goal, let's say to make $10,000, I would feel like nothing else was of a concern other than this $10,000. And maybe I had habits or a routine around it, like I work this many hours per week, and I spend this much time researching stocks and etc. Let's say, just for example, this was the case. I would then be negligent to or give myself permission to be negligent to relationships, maybe health, maybe hobbies, all these other things, and that's not how life works. To be so so in pursuit of a single goal at a time. I know what I just said previously about focus on myself sounds like it is a contradiction towards this, but anything we do in life, like there's always layers to stuff, right? You're growing your relationships with someone. That's not all you're doing for 24/7 for the next 2 years, even if that's how long you're growing a relationship with someone. You're also working, you're also maybe going to the gym and getting healthier, you're also getting promoted at work, you're also, I don't know, just doing other stuff, right? There's layers to life and many things happening at the same time. And so I start to see that now. So with me wanting to maybe get myself out there and post more, this isn't all that I'm doing 24/7. I'm going to go to bed after this, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to go and coach. So that's one thing. And then I'm going to maybe go to the gym, and then I'm going to go and eat. And then I'm going to go and, I don't know, look at my finances or practice guitar. I'm going to do other things. And so I understand that these goals that I have, to not make them idols, right? And so I'm okay with the chaos. I'm okay with things not, uh, I'm okay with things being disorganized a little bit. I'm more okay with that now because I can see and I can understand that it's about managing the chaos. It's not about there being no chaos and only order. I found this 10-minute mark. Okay. I found this with meal prep because I've been trying to eat healthy and get a better physique and just be healthy, and look good. And I found that it's hard for me. The easiest way to track, I'm getting excited, I need to relax. The easiest way for me to track what I'm eating and for me to get consistent results with protein intake and calories is to eat the same thing every day, or the same variety of things. And so I thought, okay, if I eat this on this day and I eat this at this time and then this time, so I'll have 3 meals, I'll have 2 snacks, and this is when I'll have them, and then I'll rotate and have this schedule. So on these days I'll make grocery lists, on these days I'll meal prep. And every time I would do this, looking looking at the wrong side of the phone, every time I would do this, it would fall apart because there would be a day where I had to coach when I didn't expect to. Something would run late, work would run late. I would forget a grocery from the grocery store that would throw off a meal, and it would drive me nuts because I couldn't like hold down this order that I wanted. Chaos emerges, right? Chaos and order. And so I couldn't just have this sustained schedule that I wanted. I couldn't, just grip life the way that I wanted to and make everything bend and go perfectly the way that I wanted. It just doesn't work like that no matter how much I try. And so I understand now that it's about being able to ebb and flow with it. And I have a chart behind me. You can't see it in here, but this whiteboard where I have my goal was to hit 6 out of 7 days this week on my protein goal, right? So it's 170 grams protein per day, and it looks like I'll hit that maybe 4 to 5 times throughout this week, which it is what it is. But I'm more okay with that now than I used to be. Um, and so yeah, just being able to manage life, manage the chaos, because life can be very chaotic, and I feel like the better I'm able to manage that and adapt to it, the better I am. I was very upset, very frustrated, very pissed off when I wanted to have this order that I just couldn't maintain. So there's that. I hope again these thoughts that I'm saying that really mean something to me. I hope they're coming through. Last one here, 13-minute mark. Let's see if we can do it in 7 minutes. My view on work and career. So this is something that for the past 5 years, without a doubt, I've consistently struggled with. Right, and I've linked career or work and purpose very, very interchangeably or linked. I've linked them quite a bit, and for obvious reasons, because that's what we spend a lot of our time doing. And so I'm trying to think back to when I was 20. I thought pretty much like your purpose was your career, and I think I viewed it as for your life to be purposeful, you had to be like the best at something, which sounds kind of shallow. Like the best at whatever someone chooses, whether it's music, whether it's finance, whatever. And because I thought, well, if I wasn't the best at something and someone could always do it better, well, what's the point of me doing it? And I don't particularly want to go down that path and explore that thought right now. But that's, I think, one of the things that I was thinking about. And I think that uniqueness played a big part in that, right? You have to, like, this idea of purpose, being memorable, being unique. I remember thinking, and it was kind of a depressing thought, that it was a depressing period of time in my life, and I was really first struggling with all this stuff, trying to figure it out, was that there wasn't a thing that I could do, or probably even speaking an arrangement of words that someone else hasn't already said or couldn't already say. And so it made me feel like, well, if there's nothing new under the sun, there's nothing new I can bring to the table. Because I don't think that's quite true. Um, but in some sense, like that's how I felt. That's how I saw things at the time. Then what's the purpose of me being here, doing anything, trying to be anything? And Jordan Peterson, this is around the time when I first discovered him and his books. And I first read 12 Rules of Life. And I think what alleviated that a bit and shifted my perspective a bit was this idea of responsibility, right? And so being responsible, being counted on for something, right? Counted on to fix something, counted on to take a little brother or sister to a practice, counted on to help teach fourth graders how to play basketball. And that really resonated with me, and I binge watched from there a bunch of his kind of content around that. I've even seen him speak live twice, and I've anyway. So yeah, so I went down that rabbit hole. Sorry, I'm trying to recall what happened on what timeline, and so I would say that that was something that started to get in my head. Okay, responsibility, and so I started to think, okay, what's a noble thing that I could do, right? Um, and there's a lot of places I could go with this. Anyway, and a lot, what could I do? What kind of responsibility could I take on? And whatever that was, whatever thing that I thought of, it felt like it had to be again an idol, right? Similar to goals and trying to manage, trying to keep that order, right? Making that an idol, making the goal an idol. This felt like it would have to be an idol, this career, this passion, right? And purpose, I think, can't be reduced down to a job title, to a career specifically, right? Obviously, it's things that you do that can play into your purpose, but I wouldn't necessarily make the statement that I'm pursuing an electrical apprenticeship right now. I wouldn't say that being an electrician is my purpose, right? It feels too reductive, reducing it down too much. Maybe my skills align with it. Maybe I have a proclivity to serve people in such a way, and that's very helpful, and that contributes to my purpose. But I wouldn't label this job title specifically as my purpose. And I think I made the mistake of that. And it's, I was talking to my buddy about this. It's like when you have a picture in front of you. If it's this far out, you can see it, right? Maybe that's purpose. But if I'm trying to bring it so close to my face, I can't see the painting. I can't see the purpose. And so that's what I was doing. Well, maybe I'll do this with my life. Okay, what specifically is that? Oh, well, it's this sector of job. Okay, what is that? Okay, it's this job title, right? And I couldn't see my purpose with that job title so close to me, and the thing that I was pursuing so narrowly. So there's that. And I would say now the way I look at it is one thing that I've learned is that because I've had different jobs now, and because there's been so much uncertainty when I was pursuing my apprenticeship, and then now like, electrical has been slow, and so I've met someone and I've been doing landscaping and snow removal, and um, I've been doing hockey coaching, and I wasn't sure where I'd go with that, but I just kept it up, and opportunities kept coming up, and I've been taking them on. And then in the back there, for those of you that are watching that can see this, that's a skip the dishes bag that I purchased, thermal bag to deliver food in. I'm not sure where it'll go, but I just got approved for that because I feel like that might help me out when maybe other work is slow. So there's just been so much of uncertainty. And again, this goes with managing the chaos and not just like fighting for that order. There's been so much uncertainty that I'm like, okay, I need to be where I'm called, right? Show up where I'm called. So at my job, whatever workplace that I'm at, it's my job to give my best effort, to be there and to be reliable and responsible and help out and play my part. Okay, when I'm on the ice, treat kids well. Okay, try and make their day, ask them how they're doing, make a point of making them feel seen, teach them something, try to get them better, inspire something in them, be what I'm called to be in that setting, right? When I'm checking in with my friends, when I'm talking with people, and I'm not perfect at it, but being where I'm called, and that ties in with responsibility. And I found, not to sound like all righteous or whatever, but I've just found that to be meaningful to me. Like recently, the past 20 minutes, that's all right. Um, Recently, my one of my bosses, he said after a shift, he said, I really appreciate you coming in today. I know I can always count on you, and that just meant a lot to me because it's just nice to be counted on, nice to be appreciated and recognized, but nice to be counted on and serving somebody. That's the big thing. I think serving, right? Beyond a job title, beyond your career, I think serving, right? And again, when you just say that, my purpose is to serve, the thing about that is that it sounds so a little bit too abstract and broad that maybe it's hard to relate to and see as your purpose. But in some sense, that's what it is. Um, and God calls us to love and to serve, love and serve God, and love and serve people. But that's what I've learned about that. And so I'm okay right now that, at 25, I'm still this first year apprentice, and we'll see how things continue to progress. That I'm doing other stuff in the meantime to keep up. When I go to the rink, there are other guys that do hockey coaching full time. Maybe they have more clientele than me. Or maybe they, coach more prestigious teams, whatever it is, right? And I show up to the rink and I just do what I can to serve those people that I'm there on that ice with. I'm not concerned, okay, well, I need to make this a career and have a certain status with it and get this amount of clients, make this amount of money. Money can be a goal, but what I'm saying is that serving is a priority, I think, should be the priority. Again, it's an aim that I'm not always perfect at. Um, and so, yeah, those three things: ability to focus on myself, dealing with the chaos, and my view on work, career, purpose. Again, I'm going to end it here. I appreciate you watching if you are. I hope my thoughts were clear. I hope I conveyed them well. It's hard to know sometimes when I'm just speaking, but those are just three things that I found that I was thinking about that were on my mind. So I thought I'd share them. And that's it. So have a good night. Take care wherever you're watching this. Peace.